Well, hello there. If we haven't met, hello. My name is Robert Landau. I am the Live Life Well TV host, and I am here to present to you another amazing, esteemed, astounding, entertaining, and fun episode of a trivia program here on Live Life Well TV that we call True or False. And the following statement I am going to share with you happens to be true. Stay tuned. All you got to do is sit back, relax, have fun, open your mind to learn some new things that you might not have known before. And with that, let's start the first true or false question for you. So the first one goes like this: true or false, the Forbidden City is in Beijing, China. True or false, the Forbidden City is in Beijing, China. That happens to be true. The Forbidden City is, if you don't know already, the 15th century imperial palace that was off limits to Chinese subjects. So, all of the questions that I have for you on this episode of True or False come from a wonderful website that is called Merriam-Webster.com. And that has everything to do with the famous dictionary as well. So thank you, Merriam-Webster.com, for these wonderful trivia questions. And here's the next one for you. True or false? In Shakespeare's play Hamlet, Hamlet commits suicide. True or false? In Shakespeare's play Hamlet, Hamlet commits suicide. What do you think? If you don't know, just guess. False. Though Hamlet weighs the virtues of living and dying in his famous, what's that famous soliloquy? To be or not to be, that is the question. Now you know why I never played Hamlet when I was an actor. So I do apologize for that horrible rendition of that brilliant soliloquy. But though Hamlet does weigh the virtues of living and dying in that famous soliloquy, Hamlet is ultimately in the play stabbed to death. True or false? Next question. The mosquito has caused more human deaths than any other creature in history. True or false? The mosquito has caused more human deaths than any other creature in history. What do you think? True or false on that one? Well, that happens to be, unfortunately, true. The mosquito, a blood-sucking creature, is a major transmitter of diseases such as yellow fever. And if that isn't bad enough, how about malaria? Moving on to the next true or false question. True or false? Corn is the most produced crop in the world. True or false? Corn is the most produced crop in the world. That happens to be true, and here's why. Corn is the most produced crop in the world. Wheat is second, and what do you think third might be? Starts with an R. Rice is third. Next up is this: true or false? The funny bone is really a bone. True or false? The funny bone is really a bone. That is false. The funny bone exists, but it's not a bone. It's part of the ulnar nerve in the back of the elbow. Ooh, and that hurts when you hit it, huh? But it's not a bone. Next up, true or false? A heptagon has 6 sides. True or false? A heptagon has 6 sides. False. A heptagon has, do you know? 7. Did I do that right? There you go. Oh my. A heptagon has 7 sides. Next true or false question for you goes like this. True or false? Lightning is seen before it's heard because light travels faster than sound. True or false? Lightning is seen before it's heard because light happens to travel faster than sound. What do you think about that? Could that be true or could that be false? That happens to be true. One's distance from lightning can be measured by the delay between its visible flash and audible thunder. Each mile is equal to roughly 5 seconds. Oh, I don't know about you, but to me, that is fascinating. One's distance from lightning can be measured by the delay between its visible flash and audible thunder. Each mile is equal to roughly 5 seconds delay. I love that. Nature's amazing. True or false? US presidents originally lived in something called the President's Palace, but the name was changed to avoid affectations of royalty. True or false? US presidents originally lived in something called the President's Palace, but that name was changed to avoid affectations of royalty. True or false? What do you think? True. It was changed to something called the Executive Mansion in 1810 for this reason. It officially then became the White House in 1902. 1902. Interesting. True or false? The smallest country in the world is Monaco. What do you think about that? Could that be true, or might that just be false? Here's the question again. The smallest country in the world is Monaco. True or false? That, in case you didn't know, happens to be false because the smallest country is the 0.2 square mile Vatican City. With a population of 800, the walled nation lies entirely within what city? Rome. Roma. Next, true or false for you, we have this. True or false, only Americans and Soviets have walked on the moon. True or false, only Americans and Soviets have walked on the moon. That's false. Here's why. 12 men thus far have walked on the moon between 1969 and 1972, and all were Americans on Apollo missions. It would be nice to have a woman on the moon sometime soon. So take that, NASA. True or false? When Mickey Mouse debuted on screen in 1928, it was in a silent film. True or false? When Mickey Mouse debuted on screen in 1928, it was in a silent film. What do you think? True or false? That happens to be false. Steamboat Willie, the name of the film, was both Mickey's debut and the first mega hit animated film with fully synchronized sound. True or false? Veins look blue because the oxygen depleted blood in them is blue. True or false? Veins look blue because the oxygen depleted, I knew I wouldn't get through that. Try to say that fast 5 times. Oxygen depleted blood, oxygen depleted blood, oxygen depleted blood, oxygen depleted blood, oxygen depleted blood. Wow, that, I did it. So anyway, let's do this whole thing again, now that I've totally confused you and you've lost track most likely. True or false? Veins look blue because the oxygen-depleted blood in them is blue. True or false? What do you think? It is actually false. Though always a shade of red, blood depleted of oxygen traveling through shallow veins appears blue because of a complex optical process involving the skin and reflective light. True or false? Spiders belong to the insect class of animals. True or false? Spiders belong to the insect class of animals. That happens to be false. Insects have 6 legs. Spiders have 8. True or false? Death Valley is the lowest, hottest, and driest area of North America. True or false? Death Valley is the lowest, hottest, and driest area of North America. It happens to be true. Where is Death Valley located? Well, you probably know. It is located in California's Mojave Desert. True or false? When Ronald Reagan challenged communist leaders to tear down this wall, he was referring to the Great Wall of China. True or false? When Ronald Reagan challenged communist leaders to tear down this wall, he was referring to the Great Wall of China. You probably know the answer to that. It happens to be false. Reagan was actually referring to what wall? The Berlin Wall, which was finally opened in 1989 after the collapse of the communist East German government. Oh, have you ever been to the Great Wall of China? I in my cruise directing days, visited it quite often. There's actually a coastal city on the Chinese coast where the wall literally comes out of the sea and starts to progress across the country west. So it's an east-west wall that comes out of the sea in a place called Qingwangdao. And the wall is much older than you might think it is. Most of it lies in ruins, but the parts of the wall that have been restored are open for tourists to see and climb. Oh my goodness, that was quite a climb, because the wall from sea level in Qingwangdao starts to traverse through the country, but it's a very mountainous area where the wall comes out of the sea. And wow, in the summer, it's humid, it's hot, and you lose your breath quite quickly when you try to climb that part of the wall. True or false? King Tut was one of the longest reigning kings of ancient Egypt. True or false? King Tut was one of the longest reigning kings of ancient Egypt. Well, in case you didn't know, that happens to be what? True or false? I can't hear you. False. King Tutankhamun died at the age of 19 and is chiefly known for the treasures discovered in his tomb back in 1922. I remember when the King Tut exhibit first came to New York City. I'm originally from New York, and after graduating from college, I lived in New York City as an actor. I was an actor. And I remember when the Tut exhibit came to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and you had to get tickets. Oh, I think it was months in advance, and the whole show sold out. But I remember visiting that exhibit on the day and time that my tickets set to go. It was absolutely amazing. And you know, the famous headdress that almost looks like a sphinx of Tut, and the eyes in that headdress were so vivid and almost lifelike. I remember the headpiece was housed in a acrylic or glass square, and it was on a podium, on a stand, and so you could walk around it to look at all angles of this amazing gold work of art. And I looked at the eyes. I went right up to the eyes and looked at them. And it almost seemed as if the eyes were going like this. that if there was life in there, which of course there wasn't, um, Tut was terrified that there were so many people looking at him all day, every day, for months on end. I'll never forget that about the Tut exhibit. Have you seen the Tut exhibit when it might have come to your city? I know it goes on tour every so often. But I saw it during its first tour when there were a lot of amazing artifacts that were discovered in the tomb, besides the headdress as well. Let's move on with this, true or false. The tango originated in Argentina. True or false, the tango originated in Argentina. You probably know the answer to that, and if you don't, the answer happens to be true. The sensual ballroom dance originated in Buenos Aires in the late 19th century. Two more before I take my leave of you. The second to last true or false goes like this. True or false, basketball is the only American sport that is totally American in origin. True or false, basketball is the only American sport that is totally American in origin. That happens to be, what do you think? True. Good work. A guy by the name of James Naismith, a PE instructor at the YMCA training school in Springfield, Massachusetts, invented the game in 1891, and he invented it to keep his students fit during the winter there. Thank you, James. Good work. That's really cool to be the inventor of basketball. It's a great game. Last question for you, at least in this episode, goes like this. True or false, drinking warm milk induces sleep? True or false, drinking warm milk induces sleep? That you probably figured out happens to be true. Milk contains traces of tryptophan, the amino acid that is also found in turkey that is known to induce sleep. And I'll tell you something, it works, at least for me. And here's why. A friend of mine suggested that on very stressful days, when I don't think I'm going to get some good sleep that night, a friend of mine said, okay, just before you go to sleep, heat up some milk, just make it warm, add in a mug the milk, and then put honey and half a banana that you just sort of mush up and mix in there, or you could do it in a blender actually. Oh my goodness. First of all, it was so good, such a wonderful combination of those three flavors. And let me tell you, whenever I do that, I sleep like a log. Then the challenge is coming out of that wonderful sleep state and wanting to get out of bed the next morning because you feel so incredibly relaxed. I feel incredibly relaxed and also charged with energy because we are at the close of another episode of True or False, and I would like to thank you for joining me for it. Ever thankful to you. I am Robert Landau, your Live Life Well TV host, and I look forward to seeing you on future episodes of not only True or False, but the other trivia program we have here on Live Life Well TV on a weekly basis called Did You Know? We also have health and wellness tips for you each and every week, that show. We also have a lecture series called America's Greatest Personalities. Every week, we bring you a different Hollywood star or historical entity or politician, historical figures. The list goes on and on. Finally, we have an inspirational and motivational show that will really help you feel so much better about life. It is called How to Be Okay When Things Aren't. So lots of stuff for you to see here on this channel. We look forward to seeing them and being there for and with you. Thanks so much for joining me. God bless.